heartbreak of Turin, and tonight the 24-year-old goalkeeper from Cologne is facing England again. And at the other end, Chris Woods, 32 in November, can at last call himself England's #1. His selection ahead of David Seaman surely owes something to Woods' presence on England's summer tour. The same might be said of 22-year-old John Salako of Crystal Palace, picked at number 11. A big opportunity for him in the absence of John Barnes. And looking at the England team, not only Barnes, but the likes of Des Walker and Mark Wright also absently injured. So it's a new centre-back partnership of Gary Pallister and Paul Parker, both of Manchester United. Parker and number 8, Trevor Steven, now of Marseille, are 2 of those 4 England survivors from that semi-final in Italy. The others, David Platt and Gary Lineker. The Germans, on the other hand, have 7 players in their starting lineup who took part in that match. The newcomers are number 2, Manfred Vince, a late replacement of Sweeper, number 5, Stefan Effenberg, and number 7, Andres Moller in midfield. And in attack, the former East German Thomas Dohl, who now plays for Paul Gascoigne's new club, Lazio, as does Dohl's attacking partner tonight, number 9, Karl-Heinz Riedle. Always a big occasion when England and Germany meet. Germany in green shirts. Might be worth pointing out that since that most famous of all meetings in 1966, England have beaten Germany only twice in 11 attempts. Talking there, of course, about the former West Germany. We're now seeing the United Germany. Vince is number 2. Should also be pointed out, perhaps, that since the 1988 European Championships, England, under first Bobby Robson and now Graham Taylor, have lost only 2 of their last 38 internationals. Quite a record. That's if you classify the meeting in Turin as a draw, which I think we can afford to do. It's a header by Kohler for the Germans. And then David Platt. Dohl gets the better of Dixon there. And here's Kohler, but in coming for that ball, he fouled Gary Lineker. Those two know each other pretty well. Kohler marked Lineker in Turin, and you won't need reminding that on at least one occasion, Lineker got the better of him. Moller, number 7. Bremer. And a very blonde player on the far side is Effenberg. Just getting the feel of Wembley. Only Mateus survives from the team that went here back in 1982. Foul by David Batty. Number 9, Riedle. It's going to be Bremer to take the free kick. Here's Mateus. Hessler making a run round the back on the far side there for Germany and forcing Tony Dorigo to head the ball behind for the first corner. Vogts has come up from the back. So too has Kohler. and he'd hit the post. Goodness me, that was close. Vogts really got in there. He's dangerous in those positions, as we saw in the World Cup, but England won't be too happy about the marking.
There's a great corner, as you see, whipped into the near post, and you see Vogts rising above everyone, heading it perfectly down and catching the outside of the post. And Chris Woods wouldn't have seen it until it had actually come off the post and wouldn't have had a chance.
Here's Bremer. And Moller's got good support inside here. This is Dole. He's got Riedle to his right, and Moller's come again. Andy Moller.
Well, there's Dole, who's made such an early impression over in Lazio, playing alongside Riedle. He's an attacking midfield player, but pushed up more alongside Riedle. He held the ball up well. I like the sort of runs he makes. He moves into space out wide well, and he played it square to Moller, but he didn't quite catch his shot and sliced it off the outside of his foot. At the moment, though, England, I think, because there's quite a few new faces because of injuries and suspension, and there's not quite the cohesion, whereas the Germans seem to link better at the moment. So I think it's going to take a little while for England gradually to build up an understanding.
This is Berti. Trevor Stephen. And now Dixon with Lineker waiting in the centre, being joined by Smith. There goes Lineker, here comes Stephen. Oh, and what a turn by Lineker, and away from John Salako. Almost off the line by Effenberg, I think. John Salako was within a whisper of putting that in. And there was some good cover on the post. I think it was the number 5, Stefan Effenberg, who saved Germany. First of all, good play on the right-hand side. Stephen out to Dixon, and as it ran loose here, Gary Lineker turning and shooting so quickly, Illgner couldn't hold it, and look at that, Effenberg from Salako.
Good whipped-in cross from Lee Dixon, and good challenge there initially by Lineker. They can't get the weight. Platt actually was going to have the shot, and Gary Lineker, so instinctive, did it on the turn, and Effenberg does well to follow up on the goalkeeper.
Come just too far ahead of David Batty. Oh, a mistake by Effenberg, and can Lineker turn it in? It was almost like the World Cup all over again. German player unable to control a bouncing ball, only this time the outcome was different because Lineker couldn't quite get his strike in.
It may have looked there as if Gary Lineker dwelt too long on the chance, but it was a magnificent saving tackle by Kohler. It was a... Having just saved the day initially, Effenberg, he got called out with a straightforward pass back. Didn't catch it at all right, but it was one of those spinning ones that bounced up, and Gary Lineker had to wait for it to drop before he could get his shot in, and in the meantime, Kohler made a magnificent blocking tackle.
Well, that's twice England have been close. The first time, Lineker was also involved, of course, wasn't he? The ball played in by Lee Dixon, and I just can't get over how quickly, when this runs loose, how quickly Lineker gets a shot in, and how well Illgner gets the right hand down, but still needs the help of the defender to foil Salako. Stephen. Tony Dorigo on the far side with the ball. Looking for Smith, helped by Platt. That fell well for England. It's Stephen who found Salako, who's now switched flanks. They've got support from Alan Smith with the header! Oh, good save! Illgner was off his line, but he had the athleticism to prevent Alan Smith's header from Salako's cross going in over his head. Corner to England. Quarter of an hour gone and England pressing with Salako here. Another good ball in. Germans really being tested in the air here by England. There goes Smith round the back, away from danger by Vogts. Well, speaking as somebody who actually tipped Alan Smith to score the first goal tonight, I thought I was lucky there, but Illgner was certainly full of confidence the way he turned that over. Flying save by the keeper, but now England have a free kick. And he'll be tested once again, perhaps. Up goes Gary Pallister on the far side for England. Tony DeRigo shaping on the near side. And DeRigo shoots. Oof. That was no mean effort by the man wearing the shirt of Stuart Pearce, who himself would have been pleased with a similar shot from that distance. Batty. They've just got to try and turn the screw while they've got the possession, but this is where Germany are so dangerous. The break is on, and a superb tackle by Paul Parker. Because Germany there, it wasn't just 2 against 1. For a split second, it was 3 against 1. This is Salako for England, though. Well, Salako's effort went behind for what I thought was a goal kick. The referee and linesman have now agreed. But Paul Parker there stopped Lothar Matthäus, I think it was, from producing the pass that would have surely put... There was an arm up for a possible offside, but I'm not sure they would have been. Riedle, and there goes Moller. Goal. Matthäus. Hessler's the player on the... What a great ball by Matthäus there. It really stretched DeRigo. And Hessler's going to get this one back. Finally forces the corner off DeRigo. Thomas Hessler just replacing the Wembley turf. Moller is the player taking the corners on the right-hand side for Germany. And again, Vogts and Kohler have come up. Dixon's header. Goal. DeRigo. Well played. Oh, and Lineker's made the run, and the sweeper is not there. Bremer was. Referee following up behind. Has a good look at that handshake from Andrus Bremer. Gary Lineker was pulled down, and the referee has shown the yellow card to Bremer. Good ball by Tony DeRigo that led to that. And they got the Germans uncovered there without the sweeper. It was most interesting that, the way the one ball, the long forward ball completely destroyed the system. Free kick to England. Here's Pallister with... Oh, no. Now, what did you think of the challenge by Bremer on Lineker?
Well, I thought it was a superb pass, as you said, by Tony DeRigo, having driven it out of his own box to find Gary Lineker, who's so good at losing his markers. Then, having sort of played it into space, I think Bremer here did go for the ball. It was just a fraction afterwards. But having decided that it was a bookable offence, I mean, I think in the current climate, it had to be a red card or nothing.
quite a pounding tonight. He's already been suffering from a couple of injuries, and he's now been the victim of 2 bad tackles. There's the yellow card again. Graham Taylor will be anxious well, I should think Terry Venables and company at Tottenham will be if Lineker keeps going down like this. Kohler this time, the marking number 4, was the player who clattered him. Lineker's had a bit of hamstring trouble recently, and also a very bad toe, which kept him out of training, certainly on Monday, and that's a bad tackle by Jurgen Kohler. And 2 men already on yellow cards, remember, the Germans now. They've got to be careful, Bremer and Kohler, having been booked so early in the game. And Paul Parker stretches to head that one away. And it was David Platt just making sure that Chris Woods is lively. Played by Moller. This is Hessler, Riedle, Matthias, Effenberg. Lineker's raking pass forces the corner off Effenberg. It was good work by David Batty earlier in that England attack, incidentally, in midfield. Number 4, and it led him directly to a corner, for which Pallister is forward again. And Platt's there, he's hit the bar, oh, and the rebound has gone wide from Lineker. I don't think Gary Lineker had quite the time to direct that into a gaping net. David Platt hits the crossbar, and, well, he was stretching a bit, wasn't he, Trevor?
He was stretching his great shot, a superb header. Look at the goalkeeper coming, never getting there. Again in the air, David Platt rises above. And Gary Lineker reacts. It's unfortunate, because right behind him, running in on it, was Lee Dixon. Oh, it was a back header by Matthias, but here he is again. What a great ball that was to Moller. Terrific pass by Matthias. Now they've got runners all over the place here. This is Thomas Hessler. Dole in the middle, being joined by Moller. Still Hessler. And still Dole on the near post. This is going to be Effenberg. England defending well there. Vince. Well, you mentioned the range of passing that Matthias gives the Germans, Trevor. No better example than that one. Here he is again. And he's got a man through again. This is Dole. Stoppage time. Still Dole. And Riedle! And a goal for Germany! Beautifully made by one Lazio player for the other. And Matthias' prompting in that attack was also instrumental, but the scorer is Riedle, from a cross by his clubmate Dole in stoppage time at the end of the first half, and Chris Woods was absolutely exposed. The ball is played by Matthias. They've just stayed onside, according to the referee and linesman. Dole is in round the back. Riedle finds a position now in the centre, and 2 defenders are drawn towards the ball, and he's on his own at the far post with another one standing still, Trevor. Well, Dole does well here, twists and turns, shapes to play it one way with his right, comes back onto his left, clips the perfect ball over the 2 at the near post. Tony Dorigo caught behind. It's half-time with the world champions leading by 1-0. Graham Taylor's team having their moments, certainly in the opening period, but then Karl-Heinz Riedle from Lazio, unmarked at the far post to head in from Dole. Chris Woods threw himself across the goal and wasn't too far away from it on the replay there, but it's by that goal that Germany lead England at half-time. One of the German commentators at this Guinness International is Karl-Heinz Riedle, who scored twice here when Germany last won at Wembley in 1982.
The Germans have won at Wembley twice, which no other foreign country has done, so they're going for an unusual hat-trick tonight. And England, of course, defending an unbeaten record under Graham Taylor. 1 down at half-time. Here's Hessler. Effenberg. Mateus. Stephen. Moller. Germans certainly looking to get in behind the fullbacks with diagonal runs from their front players. It's really what Dole did on the build-up to the goal. Here he is now on the right. Hessler. And you can count the passes in this move. Here's Effenberg. Riedle. And still Riedle. Oh, it was a good attempt to chip Chris Woods.
Beautifully controlled build-up there, the Germans. As you say, we lost count of the number of passes, prompting, probing, waiting for the opening, set it up down the right. When Riedle, having had his first shot blocked, tried to chip, didn't quite get the sort of distance needed, but again, great skill.
Meantime, here's De Rigo for England to Platt. De Rigo again. Forces the corner off Manfred Vince. This was a really intuitive piece of skill by Karl-Heinz Riedle. England haven't made the most of their corners tonight. John Sulako's dropped 3 or 4 very short to the German defender nearest to the kicker, not getting the distance or the height to feed Smith and Pallister at the moment. Dixon. Lineker, flick on for Smith. Lineker now goes inside. David Platt's following up and screaming for it. Here he is.
David Platt, who enjoys so much coming from those deep situations, just had the header against the crossbar. Alan Smith, though, very aware that he was coming to join, probably in 2 minds whether to hit it early. Once he's had the touch, as you can see, the German defenders closing him down.
So the onus on England, who had their moments in the first half, had a very good 10 minutes, about a quarter of an hour in. They need that again now. It was Effenberg intercepting, and Platt wins the free kick from Dole. Platt looking for Smith, coming in on it. Oh, and Dixon came in there and hit a beauty. It was a screamer from the Arsenal fullback. And Bodo Illgner again shows what a good reaction keeper he is.
I think he got a nasty deflection as well. I think Bramer it was who shut Dixon down, and he followed up and hit it very well, but it just probably came at a nice height in the end to tip it over.
Now, can Sulako produce a better corner? He's got Smith facing him and Pallister just behind him. Back again to Sulako. And it's once more Dixon. Has he got Stephen in here? Sulako. Smith's in there with Illgner. And Pallister.
You see Dixon hit the shot outside of his foot, comes off the back of Bramer's heel, and probably dropped a bit kindly for the goalkeeper, and he was able to tip it over.
Would have been sweet revenge if Bramer had deflected one over his keeper's head, wouldn't it, after Turin? Well, it'll soon be time to start thinking about the possibility of substitutes as the second half gets underway. thinking about them, if not making them. Here's Hessler. And again. Effenberg. Mateus. Hessler now going from right to left. Bremer. Curls one in. Oh, and Chris Woods made a superb save from Riedle. Otherwise it was 2-0 and perhaps England would have been out of it. The goalkeeper responded really well. You could tell from the expression on Riedle's face just how deprived he felt there. It's a great ball by Andreas Bremer, isn't it, Trevor?
Magnificent, and in fact Riedle's just got a yard on Palliser. Volleys point blank, and it was one of those, a goalkeeper, you spread yourself and you think, well, it just overhits me, and it did.
That was a good moment for Chris Woods. And a moment of relief for his team, really.
There's another superb build-up. Mateus played the ball wide, like some 50 yards to Hessler, who controlled it instantly, played it to Bremer, and they built up and then gradually made the opening. A superb build-up again by that German sort of trio.
Stephen. Here's Dixon forward again. Nice control, and unfortunately, I couldn't say the same about the shot. And this was the Bremer ball that had the England defence just watching, really. But what a good piece of keeping at the, as Trevor Brookings said, to a point-blank shot by Karl-Heinz Riedle, with Chris Woods stopping the man who's already scored once. Smith to Stephen. There goes Platt, onside. But the ball not running too kindly for David Platt just at present.
He's had a hectic few weeks, to be fair to David Platt. I mean, I think he's become one of the key players over the last 12 months in the England setup. But what with the move to Bari, settling in, taking over the captaincy, a lot of new players, you know, perhaps it's just had an effect on his performance this season.
Here's Dixon. Bit of a tangle, it's a free kick to England. And Paul Stewart and Paul Merson about to make their full England debuts. It's going to be a double substitution after the free kick. Oh, and the defender in the way of his keeper, Dorigo, flicked on, and the header is saved in the end. David Platt getting the final touch for England.
Again, the Germans didn't deal at all convincingly with the ball in the air. I mean, it should have been a comfortable catch for the goalkeeper, but Buchwald headed it out of his hands almost, and in the scramble it was nearly David Platt who tucked it in with his head.
Well, here it is again. It was certainly flicked on for Platt, and Illgner again able to get down to it, but certainly his defender took the ball right from him earlier on. You're right. England are still trying to find a moment to get their substitutions made, but the ball is in play still. This is Smith. Now it's goal for Germany. Here's Moller. Oh, and Riedle well placed again, and Effenberg's in there too. It's Parker who's turned it out. And again, Germany had a player on the far post, practically unmarked. Meantime, it's going to be a double substitution. Paul Stewart of Tottenham and Paul Merson of Arsenal come on to make their England debuts, and exit Trevor Stephen and John Solako. The 37th and 38th different player to be used by Graham Taylor in just over a year as England manager. And the 12th and 13th Newcap among those. Corner to Germany. Away by Platt. This is Hessler, and now it's Moller. Mateus. Now, what do you make of that double change, Trevor?
Well, I think John Salako never quite sort of recaptured the form of this summer. He got that nasty knock on the post and was limping a little bit late on. And so I think to bring Paul Merson on, who is very good at getting the ball in those wide positions and running at defenders, and he's on the right side where, of course, Brave has already been booked.
So Merson, number 16, with Paul Stewart wearing number 14. Both, of course, have had their moments on this pitch in the recent past. Talking about cup semi-finals, cup finals, charity shields. Pallister, Lineker. Gets it back from Merson. Smith lays it wide to the Arsenal colleague. In comes Stewart with the header. Oh, it's going to come to Platt. And Illgner stays well spread again. Paul Stewart had a hand in it, though. Crossed by Merson. And here comes Stewart with the header. It went on nicely for David Platt. And the keeper keeping it all very tight. Now here's a break. Hessler. Riedle's in the middle, and so is Dole. Still Hessler. Well, Paul Parker coming back with David Batty there, and it was Andy Moller, the man they were trying to stop. And he's now going to take the corner, for which Buchwald is going forward, and Effenberg. Riedle up for it. Mateus! Well, what a fine piece of football. Beautiful strike by Mateus, and a fully extended save by the England goalkeeper Chris Woods, who's having quite a good night, to say the least. Oh, that was beautifully volleyed, wasn't it? Right over the ball, and just look at that from Woods.
Well, he hit it very well. It's just a nice height, nice distance. I think that was the one goalkeepers like just for the cameras.
There we go. Got through one tackle, he's got Batty there. Lineker's in the centre. Now, can he turn on it? Tries to find Stewart. Merson's out right.
Just that little bit of inventiveness just around the penalty area again. Germany been patient, they've held the ball up at the right time, released it. On that occasion, just lacking support, Gary Lineker, and then eventually went to Paul Stewart, but he tried to play it wide. But Paul Stewart, I'm sure, has been brought on to try and get into the penalty area, add a bit of aerial height alongside David Platt, where I think if there has been openings, it's come from crosses in the air.
Yes, that's where Germany are vulnerable, if at all. And David Platt and company have still time in this last 15 minutes to turn this international back into England's favour and to prevent Germany winning at Wembley for the third time. Here's Bintz, the sweeper, but if Germany were to score again, and they've got Dole out there. Coming inside now, that's Bintz! Now that took a deflection. But there's an example, surely, of how the sweeper can become an attacking player. Beautiful shot by Bintz. Buchwald's there again. Here's Riedle. Woods thought about coming out and left it. Here's Moller. Still not really away. Effenberg. It was a very good advance by Manfred Bintz. He might well have brought Germany their second goal. The sweeper is an attacker, Trevor.
Well, once he started to come out, he knew he was clear. He made the extra man, and again, a good square ball to him. He hit it very well with his left foot. Shows again two-footed awareness. And of course, he only came in this evening because of a late injury to Ruurter, but he's looked very comfortable.
(1972) Germany first won here, the Gunter Netzer match it's always called, European Championship 3-1. Alf Ramsey was England manager then. They won here again in '82 when Bobby Robson had just started as England manager, and now they're leading in their attempt to make it 3. That was a tackle by Parker on Dole, and it's going to be a free kick.
Just tried to ride the tackle, just clipped him. I don't think it's anything serious, probably needed a rest after the gallop into the corner. But Paul Parker, I think, been one of the better England players tonight. I thought he's done a good marking job and looked very full of himself.
There are 10 minutes to go here at Wembley in this friendly match, and Jürgen Klinsmann, who I thought we would see at some point in the evening, looks as though he may make a belated appearance now, replacing the injured Thomas Dole, who hasn't come back on the pitch. Hessler. Effenberg, Klinsmann lets it run. He's wearing number 13. I don't believe the stories you hear about Klinsmann planning to retire either. Lineker looking for Smith. Now Stewart. Merson's out right. Bramer's there. Mateus. And they're breaking well on the left here. This is Klinsmann, in fact. Oh, it's a good ball. Oh, and I think Riedle and Mateus misunderstood each other there for a moment. Here's Hessler. Germany have got a tremendous number of players up here. Effenberg. Good tackle by... Mateus seemed to me to take the ball, but the Soviet or Russian referee decides that David Platt was fouled. Here's Berti for England. Good running by David Platt onto a ball from Dorigo. He's got plenty in the centre here. Smith and Stewart are in together, and Illgner choosing to punch when I would have thought he could have caught it. It's come out to Lee Dixon. Merson's there too. Smith trying to get it back to Merson. Here's Lineker. And it may still go for Merson. Well, that would have been a storybook start to his international career, wouldn't it? It was running quite nicely into Paul Merson's path there. Alan Smith, his Arsenal colleague, was doing some good work on the right initially. And then as it was laid back again to Merson, straight at the keeper. Now we're moving into stoppage time. There was a goal in stoppage time in the first half. Here's Moller for Germany, but he's fouled Tony Dorigo. Smith trying to get there. Vogts. Oh, that's a bad clearance, and helped on by David Platt. Chances here, perhaps. And the back header was made to look very casual, but Illgner from Buchwald, but Illgner was comfortably ahead of Lineker. Klinsmann. Bintz. That's a good-looking ball. This is Moller. And now Hessler. Oh, it's a very, very good turn by Klinsmann. And Germany win at Wembley for the third time. It's the first defeat in the managerial career with England for Graham Taylor in his 13th match. Unlucky for England, beaten by a goal at the end of the first half. But all in all, the difference in experience between the two teams reflected in the performance of Lothar Matthäus, surely the man of the match, on the occasion of his 89th cap for Germany.